thanks so much for joining the IMA Awards workshop today. We all understand why recognition matters, and I think it matters all the more when it's coming from a platform, when it's done by a platform such as the IMA, which we all love. It just doesn't boost your credibility, it increases your visibility while recognizing excellence. And recognition from IMA will also open new doors for the individuals or the organizations or the brands that are associated with it. So we're really happy that you took the time out today to understand more and to be here with us. And before we jump into the agenda, let me quickly introduce the today's speaker to you. So for those who don't know me, my name is Yasha, and I'm the director for store strategy and experience with Macy's Inc. I also volunteer on the board for IMA, and it's been such an honor to chair the strategic planning committee and the awards committee for 2025. And I will now hand it over to Cindy to introduce herself.
Thanks, Yasha, and hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Cindy Milkey, Senior Director of Global Partnerships at Black Hawk Network, current IMA board member, serving with Yasha on the awards committee and on the strategic planning committee as well. Past president of the IMA some years back, and the IGCC as well as the IESP. There's your daily load of acronyms today. So great to be here with you all. Fintan, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Cindy. My name is Fintan Connolly. I'm a consultant with Engaged Loyalty, and I'm IMA past president. And Karen.
And I'm Karen Westlow. I'm the executive director of Incentive Marketing Association.
Thanks, Karen. And now diving into today's agenda. Now, the purpose of today's call is not just help you craft strong award nominations that stand out to judges, but also to help you understand a little bit of history and the magic that goes behind the scenes. We will start with purpose and significance of IMA and the awards, which is covered by Fintan, who gives us an insight into the IMA, its rich history, and some exciting stuff around the trophies that the winners get to take home. Next up after that is Cindy, who in my head has won every award out there in the incentive space. She's like a true winner. So I think she's the best person to share her expertise on how to create those compelling stories and to have winning submissions. And after Cindy, I will take you behind the scenes into the world of evaluation, like how the judging process really works. And finally, we have Karen, who will share the categories, the important days and important deadlines and more for the awards. So I think we should get started. Over to you, Fintan.
Thanks, Yasha. So yeah, for those of you who mightn't be overly familiar with the IMA, we were founded in 1998. There's over 600 individuals and businesses engaged with us as members. Basically, as a group or as a community, we provide the goods and services, the technology, and so on to the incentive industry. Over recent years, we've really expanded our reach to be a truly global organization. I think we're unique in that way. We have IMA Europe, which I'm just back from our meeting in Barcelona. And that's, again, comprises of a large group of people in our industry. We have IMA Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific. It's a little bit of a mouthful, and they'll hold their summit next month as well, their inaugural summit, and our community is growing significantly there. And then recently, we've begun to grow IMA LATAM, so Latin America, with members in Brazil, Mexico, and so on. So as a community, we're really growing. And obviously our global offices are in the US. As a community, we grow. I think we represent all elements of our industry. So whether that be technology providers, gift card providers, merchandise, travel, and then obviously RPI is part of our family as well. So Recognition Professionals International, which is a really important part of our organization. So we've grown significantly, and I think we encompass all elements of the industry. One other thing I just wanted to mention is we've also a global research program which we're in the process of launching. So just keep an eye out for that as we go forward as well. So the Circle of Excellence Awards, they're about 25 years on the go now at this stage, and really we look to identify people and organizations that are outstanding examples of helping our customers incentivize their people, their sales channels, etc., through all of the various elements that I mentioned earlier. And it's a fantastic way of showcasing the great work that we do as a community, but also the great work that individual members do for their customers as well. And that's why we're so excited. And the award submissions have grown significantly and consecutively over the past 5 years. So hopefully this year we look forward to a fantastic number of submissions as well. In relation to the award itself, we have, so what do the Nobel Prizes and IMA have in common? We work with a company called Oro4 Kosta Boda. Basically, they were founded in Sweden. They provide the glassware for the Nobel ceremonies as well. So we're standing in good company. And these are beautiful pieces of art, really, at the end of the day, which you can use to obviously adorn your offices, to show your customers the success that you've had, or obviously at home as well. So we've got a wonderful design team that's working on those for us as well. And we're delighted that as a piece of history going forward, you'll always have this lovely piece of glass as you go forward. So I'll hand over to Cindy now, who's going to go through kind of the benefits of submitting and what she's got out of doing that over the years. Cindy?
Thank you, Fintan. So amazing that we are a global organization. I served on the board of the IMA in the earlier days. I don't even remember how far back. And look how far we've come. So I think for us, to all of you, we are looking for more quality submissions for this program. And there's so many reasons why we feel there's benefits to being a part of the Circle of Excellence Awards process, not just the winner. Of course, we all want to win when we enter a contest or for an award. However, even if you don't win on the final night, there are so many benefits that submitting brings your company. And it does take a little bit of effort. We try to make the process as easy as possible. And I have served as a judge in the past. And so I think, as I think about what I've looked at, we'll try to share with you what helps us see a program in the eyes of what stands out. But the benefits of submitting listed here kind of, to me, drill down into 4 different areas. Number one, it helps promote your company and the success of the program that you choose, or the programs, as you can submit more than one, that you choose to submit, right? We work hard all year after year with our clients, producing programs that help drive results. So really, this helps get it promoted. So I think also there's a sense of pride for the team and the client or the stakeholders involved with the customer who contributed to this award-winning program, and even to the submission process itself, right? Once the work is done to get a client on board and up and running, we tend to kind of move on to the next thing. And this allows us an opportunity to look at the program, look back, bring the team together, and submit a nice story about the work we've done, which really brings a lot of team morale into the picture after the fact. So I love that. The second is strengthening the relationship with the client. I think we forget about that in this process. We will likely need our clients' support to submit for this program. We want their buy-in, and it's a really great opportunity for them. We want to showcase the program we've done with them. This is their program. Or in some cases, when Karen goes through the criteria, it could be your program, but we want to showcase this to the industry. So they should find that really exciting. And I think in my experience, we've seen it strengthen the relationship with the customer. The third is the material that this gives you for your company, right? Think about marketing this, building a case study. This builds a strong case study for future reference, right? Sales and the customer facing teams at our company are always asking for strong case studies, and this helps you build that. And then you can repurpose this, right? There are other awards that you could look at this and potentially repurpose it for in other areas of the industry or in other industries as well. And then the fourth is really industry celebration. So I think about there's going to be a process where there are submissions and then there's a short list. And that short list announcement is very important to the entire process. So even if on the night of the award you're not the winner, but if you are part of the shortlisted, Karen, is it 2 or 3 that get shortlisted? It depends, I think, on the program. Yeah, that's exciting too, right? We do a lot of exposure of that as the IMA out to the industry. Those shortlist winners are announced. It builds a lot of momentum leading up to the night of the celebration. There's third-party validation in that, right? Our industry experts are agreeing that your customer's program, your program is best in class, which is amazing. And then, of course, if we're not, we celebrating the success of our friends and colleagues in the industry, and we can learn from what we see there. So those are kind of the key things that I see are benefits of submitting. And I'm sure there are potentially more I didn't even mention or think about. So let's move on to tips for winning submissions. So a couple things on this slide. If you pay attention to the left side first, there are kind of 5 key things here, right? We've highlighted. If you focus on those, then the 7 questions on the right are a little bit easier to address. So going into this, think about what is the objective that you and the client had for the program, or that you had for the program, and what are the results? So be clear about that in your submission, because as judges, we are trying to assess what we all do in this industry is how have we helped move the needle, right? And so out of order, but I'll talk about use numbers to show impact here, because a lot of times that's part of the objectives and results is the data points. Be sure you're clear on those. Use those numbers to show impact. And this is where you may need your customer to dig in and help you, because they may have some data that would be helpful to telling the story on their side. There's also the softer side of the program, right? There's the data pieces, but then there's also what were some of the anecdotal quotes from either customers or employees or whoever the recipient base was for this? How did it make them feel? What was some of that? There's a word I'm looking for, but I can't find it. That softer impact that made a difference, the morale, the attitude, the theme that carried through the program. And then I think as you start to look at the program itself and how you and your team attacked it and helped the client, focus on the unique story, how you and your team uniquely solved for the client challenge, or for the opportunity that was in front of you, depending on the different type of award you're applying for here. And provide supporting documents. So as a judge, I have seen where if I can see a video, if I can see the website, if I can see some assets that were used in the program itself, it helps me as the judge to kind of get a feel for the story. So don't be afraid, and please do include all of that supporting documentation, because it helps to tell the story beginning to end of what happened with the program. And then, of course, last, ask others. Again, we kind of stress this throughout, and Yesha will talk about this too, but it's a team effort. So get others to kind of proofread and take a look at it and ask, what have I not thought about? What have I missed? So then on the right side of the screen, those are the actual questions as you dig into the website that we'll ask you to answer. And I think the first 4 questions seem pretty easy, but you can see that there's a lot to them, right? What was the objective? Who was the target audience? What was the strategy that was employed? What implementation and creativity? So here's where that supporting documentation, what differentiation did you bring to the program itself? And then what were the results? So I think I just saw, can you submit multiple? And the answer is yes. I'm sorry, I saw it popped up, but yes, you can across categories, but we'll talk about that some more. So think about those things. So 1 through 4 can take some time, but I think once you get through those, you'll see the remaining 3 are a little bit easier to answer. So based on all of that, why do you think your program deserves to win? Tell your story. And then the 6th one, the summary of the program for the news release, what I want to call out there is that one should have a little bit of time and attention, because the answer to this question will become the base of the news release if you are the winner, and will be read on the night of the award ceremony. So if you are including their customer name and information in that, you'll want their buy-in for that. So again, maybe if you are lucky enough, like we are, High Daphne, to have a team on your side that can help you craft that release, be sure to put that in your submission, and know that that's going to be used very officially. And then, of course, I already talked about the details there. So we'll take questions on any of these toward the end, but I'll hand it over to Yesha to talk more about the process of submitting.
Thanks, Cindy. I think that was really helpful. I love the newsreel part. Like, I probably would have missed that if I didn't hear you. So that's really helpful. Coming back to the evaluations, right? So all the nominations, obviously, we need timely submissions, that all the nominations should meet the deadlines. It's important. And apart from that, I think it's also important to answer the questions that was the correct format used? Or does the nomination answer all the required questions? Are the supporting materials included? To what Cindy's point, like they want to see, the judges want to see those data points. If you're putting like, hey, we did 4 million here, or 10 or 25 million, are you supporting those facts with anything, with the supporting documents? And if any critical information is missing, then the submission would be scored lower. So we have to keep in mind that your nominations are getting judged by veterans like Cindy and Fintan on this call. They are the industry, I would say, like they are the best of the industry, and they know what to look out for. So we typically, when it comes to IMA awards, we typically receive around 100 submissions, and which is evaluated by a judge of 25, by a panel of around 25 judges. And that means that each submission is clearly reviewed by 4 judges, by 4 different judges. Now, each category has specific judging criteria with weighted scoring. Now, the judges will assign scores for each category based on how well the nomination aligns with the criteria. Stronger evidence-based responses are going to get higher scores. Now, with 4 different judges going through your submissions, we are ensuring that there's a fair and diverse assessment. Now, once the scoring is complete, the evaluations are compared to reach the shortlist. Exactly what Cindy talked about, that making the shortlist is as important as the final winning. And I think it's as classy and claim-worthy to be a part of that. And we are over here to help you get the award, how to be that final winner from the shortlist, and to get onto that stage and grab that spotlight.
Yasha, do you mind if I add?
Of course, please go ahead.
Panel, the attendees joining today and those listening may not know when we are judging, and I love how you call out 4 reviews. There are like more than one of us is looking at each program, but I do not see anyone else's scoring. So I think that's also important that you know that I am looking at the program and judging it on its own merit myself, and I do not see how others have scored. I don't know how things end up until the end either. So.
And one other thing
from the judge herself. So yeah,
one other thing to mention is that nobody with any relationship to any of the nominees would ever be a judge. We're very careful on how we assign the judges.
That's great. So Karen, coming to the next one, right? Now that you understand the journey of your nomination and how the judges and the number of judges who review it, I also think that I personally never like to do anything rushed. And I think when it comes to an important platform like this, a clear submission, like a rushed submission, is not going to help anyone. A rushed nomination is always a weak submission. So starting yourself early to help give yourself time to refine your messages, to refine your content, and to gather strong evidence, which Cindy really weighed on. Now, apart from allocating sufficient time for drafting, reviewing, and refining, this could be my personal, but I've also talked to a lot of the judges and everyone. It really helps if you look at the past winners for that particular category that you're applying for. Understand their story, comb out, and then try to understand their story in relation to yours. See what are the record of achievements throughout the year that will match up to the skill set or the metrics from the past winners. There could be a lot of things that you might have overlooked, and just looking at the past winners will also help you identify those key storytelling pieces. And then coming back to what Cindy was saying is that ask yourself the question, who can help you tell your story better? Most probably it's somebody inside your company. Probably it's your leadership team. Probably it's your marketing. Like Cindy said, that they usually have a team within their company to help you build that story. But probably somebody, an external mentor, like probably Fintan or Cindy, somebody external, not within your company, who can help you refine and fine-tune your story. So I would say that gather a team of supporters who can help you map your content, because that's very important because you're doing all this to grab the attention of the judge. And I would say that, ensure there's a logical flow to it. You're putting your most compelling point right up front so that you're able to hook the attention of the judge who's going through that. Remember, there are very different people who are assessing your content. So provide like strong evidence for each claim that you're making in your nomination, in your submission, and use data, case studies, whatever it takes to make you convince them of your story. And also remember, keep it concise and keep it persuasive. And I think I'll now pass it on to Karen.
Excellent, thank you. And this year you'll notice that we have a streamlined list of award categories compared to what we've had in some previous years. And the awards committee wanted to really simplify the categories and really try to help people see where they fit. That's one of the things that I think has been really important, is to understand how they fit and how what they have achieved can and be eligible for an award. And regardless of whether your submission focuses on technology or gift cards, merchandise, incentives, the key is to determine how the tools that you have were used to influence behaviors and generate positive outcomes, and how that drove business performance. And I think people sometimes have it blown up in their mind that they need this big elaborate program, but really it's that simple. It's just to show how you've helped influence the behavior of people in a positive way. And although the session is primarily highlighted the Excellence Awards, there also is recognition awards that have equal importance. And as Cindy mentioned, telling the story in a way that resonates with the judges is critical to both the Excellence Awards and the Recognition Awards. And you can submit nominations for the Inspirational Place to Work, the Influencer, Industry Influencer Karen Rank Award, Lifetime Achievement Award, through the same platform that the Excellence Awards use. But the submissions for President's Award and Spirit Awards, that's really focused on volunteer recognition, and the volunteer leaders determine who the recipients of those awards are. The nominations are open through April 18th. And as mentioned earlier, there is a short list that will be published before the actual award ceremony, and we really heavily promote that short list. And even being on the short list is a huge honor and really something you can promote as a success for your company. And there is a video available on the IMA website in the awards section that shows how the platform works and shows and kind of leads you through the process. However, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them here. Feel free to reach out to the info@incentivemarketing.org, and we'll be happy to answer that. And with that, we look forward to celebrating with you on July 15th. And I will turn it over to questions and stop sharing my screen so that you all can see each other's faces. If you want to turn your cameras on and your mics on, that would be great. If you have any questions, or feel free to put them in the chat as well.
Karen, we actually do have one question in the chat. If there is a technology submission, do you feel it is crucial to have the credibility portion of the submission by showing a specific client use case that a company has worked with? Or can it be a newly released technology offering that is not yet proven in the space?
I'm turning that one over to Fintan and Cindy. They are the best qualified to answer that.
Yeah, I think in certain circumstances, a customer may not want, their name mentioned for whatever reasons. It could be just company policy. So in those certain situations, we are completely confidential in terms of we'll never publish the name of the customer. But if you can give us some detail around it in that submission, we can understand how effective it is. We get greater insight into what you're doing. But we would just award you effectively, or the technology provider, rather than both technology provider and customer. I guess if your program isn't tested yet, you're saying it's running, but it's not tested. Maybe you don't have any customers on that platform yet. It may be difficult to give us any metrics or data to say, well, it increased engagement by 10% or it increased sales by 5%, whatever those kind of performance metrics or KPI. So it might be difficult for you to demonstrate those. But I would, I would ask, that if you feel that it's something that you can demonstrate, it doesn't take that long to make the submission. Every one of them is examined. We can give you feedback on that too. So I think it's good even from a learning point of view, or maybe you can demonstrate it and obviously get that award to promote your new technology, and use that in the way you market the product as well. So, it's not an onerous task to submit it. So I would suggest you go ahead and do it anyway. Yeah.
One thing to mention with that, however, is, as Cindy mentioned, that summary is what we're using for news releases, and please do note in there if we can't promote the client name. That is something that the client is also promoted as part of that, and that is a benefit, but we want to make sure that we have approval to do that.
And then I also received another question. Is there a cost involved in submitting nominations?
Just for non-members, there's a small fee, but for members, there is not a fee.
And I think, Jenny, also there's one, can you submit multiple submissions or are you just limited to one? So I know, Cindy, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, and I tried to, in the moment, hit that, but just to kind of go back and clarify, yes, you can look at all of the categories and submit across multiple categories, and we encourage that. And in fact, as a judge, I've seen that. So welcome to do that, and we'd appreciate that.
And I think this is for Karen. Karen, I think one question that I do get asked sometimes is that when is the shortlist ready for the view? Like, when do people come to know that they're shortlisted?
I have to look at the specific dates. I would say, and just I don't have the dates in front of me, but June would be when we would send that out, usually early June. But I don't have the specific date.
Fine. So I hope it's okay if I just jump in and chat. Okay. So I'll turn my camera on as well. Hope. So my question.
Thank you.
Hi. Sorry, my camera's been a little funky the last few days. My question, my question was the one about the multiple submissions. So I just, for further clarification, I understand that we can submit across multiple categories, but are we also able to submit multiple per category?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Great clarification. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
And that's one where oftentimes they're differentiated, where it may be the same company submitting, but they'll have different client names, and you're submitting the program name, the client name, and so it's clearly differentiated in the section.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And just reiterating again, the Excellence Awards are very important, but we really, really encourage you to think about who in your company may be qualified as an industry influencer or for the Karen Rank Award. Those are also very, very important. So we highly encourage those.
And speaking of Karen Rank, I don't know, Cindy or Karen, like one of you, if you could like tell us more about the person, why there's a particular award named after her, that would be great.
Do you want me? I'll start with that, and Cindy, who knew her personally, will be happy to, I'm sure, step into. Karen Rank was the original executive director of the Incentive Marketing Association, and she helped bring all of the different parts of the industry together to form the association, and was the executive director for the first 20 years, or not quite, but yeah.
It's since inception.
From 1999 through 2014, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
yep. And Vincent, did you know her too? I believe you knew her as well. Yeah. So we both did. Yeah. I think that the award is a way for us to honor, even if you didn't know her, the spirit of her, the collaboration, she really worked to lift people up and bring people together and, cut through challenges in the industry. And so even if you didn't know her, it's really about that spirit that you bring to the association that we're recognizing. Anything you want to add to that, Fintan? I left out.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it's obviously Karen was instrumental in the inception and the foundation of the organization. So whilst the criteria for the award isn't overly set, in terms, but it's just if you feel that you have or somebody in the organization or has instilled that spirit of determination and some of those values, please make a submission.
Yeah, I think I've just pulled up the website to remind myself. Mentorship, character, collaboration, and professionalism are the things that the award is recognizing in individuals who are active within the IMA.
And most of the nominations are really focused on how the people support others in the industry and support the industry as a whole and try to, bring everybody up.
Yep.
And the lifetime achievement is a little bit more obvious, I guess, in terms of what the qualifications are for that.
Yeah, I think with Karen rank, there might be a confusion for some people whether it's the industry influencer or whether it's so.
Yeah. And the industry influencer is more, just the movers and the shakers and bringing the industry forward. So, any other questions?
Okay, and then I did receive one last question. For the incentive industry influencer, can I nominate myself? And maybe this goes for all of the other categories as well.
Absolutely.
Yes. You can. Yes. Yeah, for all the categories where you can nominate, as Karen pointed out, there are a couple that are awarded by the IMA president and the SIG chapter presidents, but for any others where nominations are taking place, yes, you can.
Okay, and then another question did just pop in from Jennifer. Can you tell me what design/video content we can submit as part of the entry?
Yeah, the file size, there is a limit on the file size. And so as Cindy, yes, your approach would be oftentimes people will include a link in the PDF to the video file, and that part is definitely encouraged. That's often because there is a place to submit a PDF, and so you can submit a link to the video files versus submitting the files.
Perfect.
And I think,
go ahead.
Am I right in saying, because I think I may have done it, you can use Vimeo and then have that password protected, or one of those platforms. I think I used Vimeo, but to that point, like, that's powerful. If you can do a demo of your technology, it doesn't have to be, you don't need to go into the minutia, but if you can do a demo on a video file of your platform, of your technology, that, picture paints 1,000 words, right? It really helps the judges understand what you're doing. And then if you can back that up with your text to say, okay, here are the results, it really gives us an immediately, a powerful picture of what you're doing. And I think it helps that success.
Yeah, and graphics in general, video graphics, visuals are always really helpful, as again is telling the story and the people, how it impacts the people involved. So.
Okay, and then I got another question. Are there any examples that I could look at from past years?
Yes. On the website, if you go to incentivemarketing.org, and maybe I should share my screen again.
Yes.
Oh. And go into the awards section. And we have, I believe. And now I'm telling incorrect
Yeah.
information. Jenny, maybe you can help me with
No,
this.
I've got it. If you go to, I went to make my backup one. Go to the /awards, insteadofmarketing.org/awards. You're there. And then scroll down to Excellence Awards. Wait, okay, go back up. And then you'll see
Sorry.
past. Nope, you're there. Excellence Awards. If you scroll a little bit further down, you'll see past recipients.
There we go. I was
Expand
just looking
that.
over the top of it.
And there you go. But the one thing that this doesn't give you, it doesn't give you what their submission look like, right? So this is what the end product was, but
Yeah.
I think that that's an interesting, we don't share what was submitted.
This is more that summary that we talked about for the promotion. And that is a good question. I think we would need to get permission to share the full submission, and that might be a little bit more difficult.
But I think
Yeah.
even that little story, the snippet, that really helps because it helps you that what are the final points that that particular winner arrived at to win that award. So, I mean, it's making the most out of what you have, but it does really give you a little bit of guideline. Like whatever story that you are crafting, will it land onto something that would conclude like that? And to make it conclude like that, similar to that nature, what do you need to do? So I think it does help. Like it may not be as detailed, but it's a good indication. Because I think with a lot of other platforms, they just put the winners. They don't even like leave the stories. They just you just lose that information from brochure onto brochure every year unless you're collecting it for a lot of other award platforms. But I think with IMA, we're at least giving the snippets right there on the website. It's historically recorded, so you can go like year by year and just see whether you're measuring up or not.
I think you're right, Karen, that sharing the submission documentation, some of it is proprietary, and that could be very much why we aren't able to do that unless someone specifically said you could.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, one other question that came up is, can I submit the same program in different years? And the key, this is one of those important topics that I think the nominations for programs are for programs that we're within the designated year of January 1st, 2024 to May 1st, 2025. So if it's a perpetual program that goes on year after year, you just have to use the data from January 1st through May 1st.
Yep.
Awesome. And then I do have one other question that popped in. Is there a word count minimum or maximum for each submission? And are the criteria for each award laid out on the website?
I don't believe we have a word count limit, except for the question number 6 about your 200 words that would be used for the press release and the announcement. Correct me if I'm wrong on anything there. And then on the criteria on the website, I'm actually just checking to see what's there. I believe there's only, like I showed on one of my slides, there's only 7 questions. And I think there's a lot of opportunity and freedom there and how you want to answer those questions to tell your story. But I don't think we get particular about certain criteria under each of those 7 questions, with the exception of number 6. Correct me, Fintan, and others if I'm wrong there.
That's for the Excellence Awards. There is criteria to really help you understand what we're looking for in terms of the industry influencer, the inspirational place to work, things like that. But yeah, with the Excellence Awards, it is more framed by the questions that we ask.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you can, I know there's a separate, when you say, when you click nominate, it'll take you to a separate registration site that you'll need to. If you've not submitted before, you'll have to sign up for or register to use, and that will be your award submission login. So there's no harm in going ahead and registering for that. It's summitawards.awardsplatform.com. There's no harm in registering for that. And that you can dive in and look at all of the questions are there.
And I think, Cindy, can't you go back? You don't have to do it in one go, right? You can go in and work on it, and then you can save it, and then come off and then go back. Yeah.
Correct. Good one. Yep. You can. You can stop.
That's a very important point. And I believe we were also, if we have not done it yet, we will soon post a PDF of the questions on the website so that you're able to see the questions in advance before you even log into the program, so you can start gathering information.
Okay, and then Claire just said, regarding the question about the criteria, she says, I meant more about what the criteria is for which award to decide which award is most relevant for our program.
Yeah, like more of a, so I see like excellence in gift cards. Claire, are you saying, what does that mean? Like, what are you looking for? Is that kind of what you're asking? Does that make sense?
Yes, it is. Thank you. So yeah, if we've got a program in mind that we know is ripe for an award, it's just making sure that we're picking the category or the award that is going to best display those things. And I know sometimes awards would have a sort of a brief. Would have a brief as to what the judges are looking for.
I'm glad you asked. I thought we had, Yasha, as part of our committee work, kind of created a little explanation for each of these categories because we revised a few of them. Should we go back and do that and post that? Like, I feel like we did define them, but I don't see that they're on the website.
I think that's a good call out. Probably we can add that. Yep.
Yeah, thank you for helping us make this better. Yep. We'll go in and add just a little, because we looked at all of these categories as part of our committee work and made some refinements. I know that we know what we're thinking here, but I see your point. We're not really spelling it out for you. So we will fix that right away.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jenny, any other questions?
Not that have come in since then, nope. But if anyone does have a question, who should they contact, or how should they go about finding the answer?
I think the easiest way would just be to email it to info@incentivemarketing.org. Although you can also email it to me, which is kwesloh@incentivemarketing.org, but probably info is easier to spell.
Yep, and I popped it in the chat.
Great. Yeah, and I think that's the fastest, easiest way to get answers to what you need. I'm sure that Fintan and Yasha would also agree that we're here as support if you have any other comments or things for us to consider as part of this committee. Would be happy to hear from you.
And then Veronica did ask if this recording will be distributed. Yes, we'll put it on our YouTube, and then I will add it to the awards page on our website.
Thank you all for coming, and
very
much appreciate it. We look forward to receiving your nominations.
For sure. Thanks for your participation. Yes, look forward to your submission.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
everyone.
all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.